Good morning everyone, I'm standing on Sukhumvit Road and I'm right opposite the junction with Tongue Law. I'm smack in the middle of Tongue Law. There is Tongue Law BTS, and that means I have come back to Curvistan. Although I've been told by some people it's actually pronounced Curvistan, but I've got used to Curvistan. It sounds more cool, so we'll call it that. This big giant glass and steel building that is a Porsche coffee shop, exhibition center, and eventually I think sales for the Porsche design condo they're building. Anyway, we're going to go into Curvistan and I'm going to show you something that is absolutely super rare. Well, in fact, it's more than super rare. It's the first time ever in Thailand we've had a Le Mans winning car, and the first time ever in Thailand had a 956, and here it is, the 956 that won the 1982 Le Mans 24 Hours in the hands of Jackie Ickx and Derek Bell. Absolutely amazing. Those iconic Rothmans colours. It started the race with number 1 because that pair had won the race the year before, and it finished with the number 1 because they won after leading start to finish. The debut Le Mans 24 Hour for the 956, and it absolutely walked it. So it's pretty cool that this car has come from the Porsche Museum, and in fact up here we've got the Porsche Museum signs, and it's been flown to Bangkok to sit in Curvistan till the middle of November or somewhere around that. So you've got a month or 2 or 3 to come down here and check this car out. It's static, it's not running. I don't think it's run in a long time. I'm going to take you for a walk around this car. I mean, this place is just pure Porsche. We've got this giant Fuchs alloy there and all this artwork, all this detail. Now, before we go any further, I'll say this is the 3rd video I'm making from Curvistan. The first video I made a year ago when it opened, and this has come to celebrate the first year of this place. The first video I made was a whole walk round through this coffee shop, so I'm not going to go through it again. If you want to see that, drop down the description, follow the next video along when this finishes, or drop up here and I'll throw you a link right up there now, and you can see this whole coffee shop in detail. And then the second video I made was the Porsche 551 concept, and if you want to see that, sitting right here, and a lot of information, a lot of detail, a lot of interesting scale models, again, drop down the description, I'll put the link in there. So this is my 3rd video, and I'm going to take you for a walk around this car and then look at some of the information, some of the other exhibits they brought along to pad out this exhibition. Absolutely cool. So first thing I want to do is take you for a walk around this car, because you know my style, I always show you things in detail. Now, I've never shown you around a classic 956 Porsche before, but there are so many interesting details on this car. I really want to show them and really get them across, because I've never stopped and sat and looked at one before. I mean, I've seen these many times in my life, but never really in a nice location like this where we're indoors, we're in aircon, and there's fairly good light. So I want to take you for a walk around this car quickly. And if we start at the front end, that front end is absolutely amazing. It is just pure aerodynamics. It's just so low, so slippery. Really, it feels like an LMP that's been wind tunnel tested for thousands of hours in 2025. But this is back in the early 80s. But also, this is the first Porsche to have ground effect. So we can see here how the air is funneled underneath. We've got intakes there, and I really like these huge headlight bezels here. There's such a really old scratched perspex, and the headlight units, they are straight out of the common parts bin. The holders, the brackets, the adjusters are rusted away like anything. Really so period correct, unchanged in half a century. And we look on the front here, we've got the pull handle, and it is all molded in. And we've got these 2 clips here, which I guess are to lift the front end off. But I don't know a lot about these cars, so I don't want to sound clever and then look stupid. You can actually see I've got a couple of intakes just in front of the screen. And then that wiper is very sophisticated, very complex, because when you're going down the Mulsanne at 300 kilometers an hour, you need to have that wiper not lifting and blowing around if it's raining and you're trying to clean the screen. And then we look from the corner, and man, that shape is absolutely amazing. It's just so slippery, so aerodynamic. And then we get to the wheels and the tyres here. And these wheels, they real feel pure BBS style. Split rim, Porsche wheels. And you see the Porsche embossed in there with a really old period stamp. Obviously a big single hub locking nut on there, race style. Chrome on the outside. That bronze colour, gold colour on the inside. And it's running on Avon. And then you look down the side and it's just absolutely amazing. All these bolts and fasteners holding the panels in, side exits here, vents here. But then we look over this fender and it is just absolutely designed for maximum aerodynamics. And it sweeps down into these coolers and we've got 4 intakes. So it looks like we've got 4 different coolers here. It's a real mass of coolers. And then it actually sweeps around and all the air comes back out of these 3 exits here. But before we get ahead of ourselves, we look at this cockpit and we've got Jackie Ickx and Derek Bell on the side, obviously, because they drove this car in 1982 and won the race. But these cockpits are just so small, so tight, and that is a tiny entry. We've got the slider and the perspex window and a fuel filler there and a big narca duct on the roof. But it always never ceases to amaze me, even on current LMPs, LMP1, LMP2s, hypercars, just how tight and cramped those cockpits are. Really, it's a hard job for the driver to get in and out of that quickly at the pit stop. And that's why you often see them being bundled in and out. Anyway, we'll look at the back end. It's got this huge flat back end and this big, massive, long tail that they put on for Le Mans to get the whole effect down the Mulsanne. And for me, the best view of the 956 is from the back. Now we've got the light streaming in from Tongue Law here, so it's not a perfect view, but that is just absolutely amazing. It just looks like a huge flat T-tray with a bulge in the middle. We've got 3 narca ducts sitting there, and we've got those exits there, but it just looks absolutely huge and crazy. And you can see this rear wing actually, it's adjustable. We've got these adjustable posts here and these alloy mounts. And then on the back end, we've got these air exits cut in, and there is no back end here. There's no diffuser or any of these modern aero ideas on it. It's just a completely open back end. You can see the monocoque spreading out and coming right to a narrow point here. The air just flowing through the car. And then the lights, man, these are straight out of the Common Parts bin. Those just look like something out of the 1950s. You can also see the adjustability on the rear wing here. I mean, it's a beautiful piece of work. I'll just pull you right back so you can see the whole length and the whole aero of this car. Very handily, there's a lot of information about the 956, so let me tell you a little bit about this project. I did make a few notes, but we've got it all here, so I'm just going to read this, and this covers it. Porsche created the 956 for the World Endurance Championship in 1982, the new Group C regulations. So it was a new generation of race car powered by 2.6 litre turbo engine and 5-speed gearbox. Although the engine was carried over from the last generation, the new Group C regulations stipulated a specific ratio of overall length to wheelbase in order to prevent the use of massive long-tail designs. In response, the 956 had the longest wheelbase of any Porsche race car to date at 265 centimeters. And for the first time, Porsche used a monocoque chassis constructed from aluminium sheet. The fuses generated low pressure under the car to suck the 956 to the track surface. So not just aluminium construction, it also had ground effects for the first time. This technology was new for sports prototypes and increased cornering speeds considerably, giving Porsche a decisive advantage over the competitors. And then here we go, the debut yielded a triple victory with Jackie Ickx and Derek Bell winning the race and Jackie Ickx going on to win the championship. And here we've got a little bit of detail here. 2649cc is the exact displacement of the car, over 600 horsepower, top speed of 352 kilometers an hour, and a weight of 840 kilos. And they actually built 28 956s. So this is one of just 28 in the world, although I am not sure whether all 28 still exist or not. This car is something absolutely amazing. And all these years later, half a century later, nearly, it has now come to Bangkok, and it's sitting in this high-end coffee shop. And I'll just walk back and look at you from the side. That is incredible. I just want to mention, I come here today with Noki, and he's got his DSLR here, and coffee, of course, his badge, and Jib, also with coffee, just behind. So I am kind of slightly overawed with two superstar Thai photographers in the place today. So Curvistan always put on a big exhibition to go with the car. So they brought the 956, but you can see all these information boards, and you can see all these historical parts that they've got on display here. And around, a lot more information about the 956. And we'll just start here with this one, because we're jumping 4 years, 86, from the 82 win to 86. And you can see Porsche had an absolute lockout here. 9 out of the top 10 at Le Mans in 1986 with Porsche. We just got this Gebhardt in there in P8, and that is a really forgotten brand name. The 956 didn't win then because they'd moved on to the 962, and the factory car with Derek Bell in the seat won in 86 with the 962 in Rothman's livery still. The evolution of this car. And then we'll move on to here, because we've got 1987, and again with the 962, hand stuck, Derek Bell and Al Holbert won. Rothman's livery still on the car. And then we'll look over here, and we've got all this information here and all these pictures. Now, I'm not going to go right through and read it all to you, but I've taken photos of all this, all the parts, everything in here, and I'll drop it down into a gallery link below. So if you want to see all this in detail, read all about it, just drop down into the description. I'll throw the link in there, and you can see everything close up and in detail. We'll have a quick walk around these parts. And here we've got a fuel tank filler system here. Goes onto the bodywork, you put your nozzles in to fuel your car high speed during the race. We've got a big caliper here, big 4-pot Brembo there. Then we've got a KKK turbo. We've got a distributor there. And here we've got a huge fan, which is off a 917. That is a massive fan in a composite material. And then we've got an absolutely stunning 6-pot Brembo caliper, all stripped out to absolutely save the weight. Then we've got a huge socket that pulls that single hub nut off at high speed during a pit stop. We've got another distributor. This time it's for a 12-cylinder, and you can see all the protruding sections there that you put your HT leads in. We've got a water filler cap here. And then we're just jumping to some more modern cars, a 991 RSR steering wheel. We've got a plate of a 919, and we've also got a plate of the Porsche RS Spider. And then here we've got the 1982 win. This car's glory day in detail. You can see they came 1, 2, 3. So from 1982, we'll go forward 1 year to 1983, and this was another absolute lockout. The 956 took 9 of the top 10 places. There's only a Sauber C7 in P9 broke their top 10 up. Absolutely amazing. You can see this year the factory cars came in 1, 2, but this time Jackie Ickx and Derek Bell, they were in P2. I just want to mention Jackie Ickx and Derek Bell, the most historical, most famous Le Mans partnership, and a tie to Thailand, because Jackie Ickx came to Thailand in 2018. He came to the Bang Sen Grand Prix, and he drove a street Porsche around the circuit as part of promotional activities for the Porsche importer AAS, which was celebrating a Porsche anniversary that year. And they brought Jackie Ickx to Bang Sen, and he drove a Porsche around the circuit, did a few hot laps for guests. And then I had my thinking cap on a little bit when the last time I saw Derek Bell, and that was way back in 2008 at the Sebring 12 Hours, and I was actually sitting on the pit wall, and then someone sat next to me, but I'm looking at my phone and playing around. It was probably a BlackBerry in those days, and then I looked around. Derek Bell was sitting right next to me, but that was in the days before we had cameras on phones, and I wasn't able to say, "Hey mate, hit me up with a selfie please." So little bit of a connection between Jackie Ickx and Thailand 7 years ago. So we're going to take a short break from the 956 and show you something that you're going to be way more familiar with if you watch my channel, because In the car park, we've got something really interesting. We nip past this rather cool Curvistan sign, and here we've got a big backdrop board, and there we have a Kun Ern, who you will know from a lot of my videos, and he has turned up today in this, an S2000. I mean, that is rare enough as it is, but this one is a little bit special because one, it is all Mugen kitted out. You can see the carbon fiber exits there. You can see the trims, the Mugen wheels, the Mugen seats there, and the Mugen rear wing as well with a carbon fiber on the end. But also this was imported and brought in officially by Honda when they were new cars. And Honda maybe only brought in, I would say about 10 of them probably. The rest are all grey market imports. So this is a very rare car. Nice to see this, nice to break up this video with a little bit of performance JDM, but let's get back to the 956. So I want to take you for one more view of this car because we've got this rather crazy staircase up here. And I want to go up here and see what the view looks like looking down at this car from above, because from ground level it looks absolutely amazing, but hopefully we're going to get a completely different dynamic looking at it from above. And you can see, man, that is absolutely amazing, the shape. Let me zoom in. That is a nearly half-century old shape, but it looks incredible. And the view here is pretty good as well, because we're right next to Tong Lo BTS. And what I said earlier on, if you want to see this cafe in detail, I made a whole video when it opened a year ago, explaining it and showing you all in detail. So if you want to see that, drop down in the description or follow on the end of my video, and you can catch that. So while we're here, we've looked at the 956. There's actually 3 cars on display at Curvistan, so I'll just show you the other 2. And to be honest, for me, that is one of the disappointing things here. All that work, all that effort, all the size of the building, and they have 3 cars on show. Anyway, over here, we've got a 911 dressed up in Rothman's color, kind of tribute to the 956. I cannot go any closer because I get so much flicker of these lights on my phone. Anyway, it looks nice sitting there in that tribute Rothman's color. And then over here in this room, and we got please do not enter, and it is locked. We've got a GT3 RS, the very latest thing from Porsche. All the bells, all the whistles, all the aero parts, the barge boards, the movable aero stuff, those absolutely amazing wheels, and that huge rear wing, which you can see is all adjustable, and those big swan neck mounts. Twin exits in the middle at the back, absolutely amazing piece of kit. So you can look at the 956 and you've got 2 more cars to look at, even if this one is kept strictly under lock and key. So you don't get your hands on it.